morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, wherever you are joining us from around the world. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. Welcome back to our OTM GTM Insight series. I'm Ashok Rebori, and as we discussed in our previous session, the pace of innovation within Oracle Transportation Management and Global Trade Management is accelerating. Today, we're focusing on 26B release. This update is particularly significant because it doesn't just add the features, it fundamentally changes the user experience through embedded artificial intelligence and refined operational workflows. Joining me again, Anant Narayan, to help us unpack some of the key updates. Anant, it's good to have you back.
Thanks, Ashok. It's an exciting time to be looking at OTM and GTM. The 26B release feels like a tipping point where generative AI moves from a nice to have experimental tool to a core component of the logistics professionals' daily toolkit. We have a lot to cover, ranging from AI agents to complex trade compliance logic, so let's get started quickly.
You mentioned Gen AI being the core component, and I think that's the most visible in the new agentic workflows. I've spent a lot of time recently looking at how a OTM bulk plan diagnostic analyst can really change the game for planners who find themselves staring at massive long files, not trying to find one failure.
It's a huge shift, Ashok. Instead of that manual slog, you just give the agent a diagnostic log ID and it provides a concise summary of what went wrong. But it goes further than just diagnostics. It actually provides a multi stop, cost saving matrix and recommendations to help optimize the plan next time.
Anand, that proactive approach carries over to the logistics execution command center. I noticed it's designed to bridge the gap between WMS and OTM by surfacing urgent issues in a single command summary. It's basically trying to catch those dock insufficiencies or the potential delays before they run into expedite costs.
Exactly. And for the ones who aren't in the warehouse but are strictly in the rates world, the OTM rate inquiry assistant does something similar for rate discovery. We have all seen users get stuck in repetitive navigation on the RIQ screen. Now you just use natural language to specify your source, destination, and the item details, followed by which the agent consolidates all viable options into one easy to compare response.
I'm glad you mentioned the comparative aspect. We see that some logic in the shipment summary using AI feature. It uses Cohere LLM to take complex and multi-tab shipment data and distill it to duration, cost, and stop details.
It's actually quite interactive too. You can use the chat feature to ask things like which stop has the highest activity time and get an immediate answer. However, none of this works without the right foundation. For the admins listening, you have to configure credentials in the Fusion AI Agent Studio and update the AI agentic link and trust settings in OTM.
And don't forget this important glog.genai.enable property. It must be set to true. Also, a quick note to our colleagues in Asia Pac and Middle East, you need to open a service request to get a Gen AI enabled for your region.
Moving into core operations, I'm really impressed with the new merge shipments reuse action. For years, multi-leg scenarios where equipment was set to reuse were a headache to merge. If you tried to use the standard merge, you would often get an error or no results.
Anant, I remember those errors well. This new action is much smarter because it not only retains the target shipment's equipment but also propagates the change across all the imported links automatically. You know, it even handles the equipment with the compartments. It's perfect example of removing the manual friction.
It pairs well with the move order to flexible route shipment enhancement. It gives planners the freedom to move orders into an existing shipment that uses a flexible route, even if the new order's destination wasn't originally on that particular shipment. It really helps when you need to respond to a last minute operational change without deleting and re-bulk planning everything.
While we're on the topic of saving time, the override calendar action is simple but a powerful update. If you're managing multiple location resources, you can now multi select the calendars and apply one single override, like a holiday shutdown to all of them simultaneously.
That's a classic usability win. I would also point planners towards the audit trail for spot bid tender option. For compliance, it's no longer enough to just see the latest bid. Now, in OTM, we can see the entire history of bid iterations, including changes to bid options like pickup dates. To get that working, you just need to make sure that the tender collapse surprow table is enabled for audit logging.
We can't ignore global trade management in this update. The reporting requirements for material specific duties are getting more intense, particularly for materials like steel and aluminum.
You're right, Ashok. The enhancements to tracking and reporting of penalty content is specifically designed for that. GTM can now automatically split declaration lines based on the percentages of material content. And if you have a shipment that's partly regulated steel, the system uses new penalty type fields and code mappings to split those lines for accurate US CBP reporting.
It's very logical flow. It uses baseline to new line configuration to copy the right data from original declaration to the split lines. Speaking of logic, the way GTM handles the free trade zones in 26B is quite sophisticated.
It really is. It now distinguishes between the privileged foreign and non privileged foreign status. For privileged foreign goods, the duty rate is logged in when they enter the zone, but for non privileged foreign goods, GTM treats the entry calculation as just an estimate and does a full recalculation when the goods finally exit the free trade zone.
It's great to see the level of detail for manufacturing scenarios within the zone. On the usability side of GTM, this ad hoc restricted party screening has also been polished.
That was a much needed update indeed. There's now a Save Party button available right in the screening interface. If you screen a party and they are clear of any type of holds, you can save them directly to the GTM Party Manager as a permanent record without having to switch your screens. It even includes a progress indicator so you're not left wondering if the screens are still running any background processes, so that you are confident whatever you have saved is the final screening result. For the technical folks listening to us today, I think the AI updates to the SQL tools are some of the coolest features in 26p. The Analyze SQL using AI features acts like an expert assistant for your automation agent SQL. It gives feedback on syntax and the efficiency, and you can even tell who it is the audience who is looking at that particular query. So a DBA gets a different level of detail as compared to that of a planner user using the OTM.
I was equally impressed by the Summarize Explain Plan tool. As many of you know, database explain plans can be incredibly complex and verbose. What this tool does brilliantly is translate all the technical details into clear, natural language, pinpointing the most resource intensive steps and quickly flagging the issues like performance draining, no full table scans.
And for integrations, we are seeing a big push towards the REST API enhancements. There are new REST API enabled business actions for secure resources and withdraw tender. This means your external systems or even the custom AI workflows can now trigger these tender actions directly using a REST API without even having to log in into the OTM.
We also see the support for shipment group tenders using the REST communication method with XML content. It allows companies to keep their familiar XML formats while upgrading to modern REST based security.
Last but not the least, let's talk about the planners on the move. I'm talking about the mobile application for OTM where we have received some planner flow or the user enhancements, which now includes doc appointment scheduling as well. Planners can view, add, or delete any appointments right from their phone. while they are walking around the warehouse performing their day-to-day activities.
That's great way to handle the real-time delays without clogging up the back office. And for those using the logistics network modeling, the integration with supply chain planning has been reinforced with a new pull limit of 10,000 orders to keep the system performant.
It also suppresses lifetime events during those pulls to avoid triggering unnecessary agent activities, which is a smart move for system stability.
Finally, to all listeners, be sure to check the official documentation for the full setup requirement for all these features. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.